Nobody designs truly great cities. They just spring up. As if by magic, they develop distinct districts that endure from century to century. Think of the Silk Quarter in Florence or Savile Row in London. A city seems to pulsate with its own rhythm, as if it's a living, breathing organism. Stephen Johnson would argue that, in some senses, it is. He would say that the superorganism of the city mirrors the superorganism of the ant colony, in which a collection of individually stupid insects somehow becomes a fascinating, organized whole. Both are examples of emergence, a phenomenon where the whole is much greater than the sum of its parts. Another commonly given example of emergence is consciousness, which appears to arise spontaneously from the fact that billions of nerve cells, neurons, in the brain are firing off signals to each other. In a new book called Emergence, Johnson, an American author best known for arguing that computer graphics are as culturally important as books or films, aims to coax the topic out of science laboratories and into the mainstream, just as chaos was a scientific buzzword of the past century. Johnson hopes that emergence will enter the lexicon of this century. So many things in life look different when viewed through the lens of emergence, Johnson, 32, explains. Cities can be thought of as complex, self-organizing phenomena. Take New York City, where I live. There's a tendency to think of social systems as top-down, as driven by leaders. But what has happened here in the wake of the awful attack is the opposite. The city has come back to life thanks largely to mass interactions by ordinary people, not because they were told by the mayor. Ant colonies are remarkably similar to cities. When watching thousands of ants marching to and from a nest, laden with food, it is easy to believe that there must be a choreographer, a leader ant who can see the bigger picture and direct the colony to act in a particular way. But scientists know better. Contrary to popular belief, the queen ant does not command the colony. They attribute ant behavior to something unclear called swarm logic. Put 10,000 dumb ants together, and they become smart. They will calculate the shortest routes to food supplies. In fact, scientists studying the traveling salesman conundrum of how to visit a large number of cities using the shortest routes have studied how ants do it. Get rid of one food source, and the colony will soon turn its attention to another. Ant colonies give the illusion of being intelligent, even though individual ants lack advanced brains. How do they do it? Worker ants don't communicate with each other much. They have a vocabulary of up to 20 signs, most mediated by pheromones. But ants do follow a few simple rules. They are good at sniffing out pheromone signals from other ants, which contain clues about how far away food is. By adapting their behavior to these clues, ants learn the shortest route to food. From the isolated, small-scale activities of individual ants, a global behavior jumps out. Similarly, a few simple rules can turn an urban settlement into a thriving neighborhood. For example, cities grow because of low-level interactions with people on the street. There is a flow of information between strangers, he says. You go down the street, see a store that you never knew was there. You go in, do business, and perhaps tell your friends about it. They go there, more stores open, and suddenly there's this new area that's full of funky clothes stores. That kind of vitality is more likely to be found in maze-like cities with lots of streets and lots of routes from A to B. If a city is dominated by a few large avenues, the back streets tend to be deserted. Johnson explains, near Times Square, every block has a bar, a restaurant, and a boutique. The streets are filled at all times of the day, and they're never too crowded. Go down a broad avenue and take a turn, and the streets feel totally different. They're deserted. This local information flow is the lifeblood of cities, which is why urban planners who destroy neighborhoods and replace them with tower blocks often turn districts into no-go areas without realizing what they've done. Johnson can see that there is something unsatisfactory about saying that stupid ants can build apparently intelligent colonies. What is the crucial step? What's the missing piece of the puzzle that turns low-level actions into high-level order? But he insists that there is no hole in explanation. Just as its name suggests, emergent phenomena simply emerge. Our collection of brain cells give rise to something quite magnificent and so far inexplicable self-awareness. It is possible that the digital networks we are creating, such as the web, may cease to be our microprocessing servants and acquire some kind of micro-intelligence. Johnson dismissed this, saying that while the web shows connectedness, it is utterly disorganized. If the web were a city and each document a building, he says, it would be more anarchic than any real-world city on the planet, and therefore no higher level of complexity can emerge. However, if the web had been built in a different way, perhaps something greater than the sum of its parts will emerge. Now that we would necessarily recognize it, machines may evolve a higher intelligence rather than having it engineered, but that doesn't mean it will look like human intelligence, he warns. It wouldn't be a robot that acted like a little boy, but a machine so smart that we wouldn't recognize it. It would be like the film The Matrix, where there were no paranoid androids, but a bizarre, faceless regime. Now that's scary.